同学们，大家晚上好。欢迎来到今晚的海外大学云展活动。我是今天的主持人 Alvin。我们在今天我们的直播里呢，我们有请到了 Binghamton University 纽约宾汉州顿大学、Miracosta Community College 米拉科斯塔学院、Tacoma Community College 塔科马社区大学的招生官老师为大家带来今天这场干货满满的分享。在这呢，大家不仅可以了解到每所大学不同优秀专业项目，也可以了解海外学习、生活以及工作的真实面貌。那接下来呢，我们将依次邀请各大学代表们逐一介绍，每所大学会有15分钟的时间介绍自己的学校。我们也会在中间呢，向大学们提供我们收到大家最感兴趣的一些问题。这些问题主要包含在国外的学习、工作以及生活3个方面。当然，我们同时也非常欢迎大家向我们这些经验丰富的招生官老师们提出属于你们自己的问题。那么下面我们话不多说，请允许我为大家介绍今天的第一所学校 Miracosta Community College 米拉科斯塔学院。Let's welcome Mira. Hi, Isabella.
Hi, I'm sorry.
对，今天的话就是说，米娅老师那边的连接的话，可能是遇到一些问题。那这边的话就是说，你这边的话 OK 吗？可以就是说做这个。
可以，我刚想发信息给你来，我给你开始。
好的，那就请你开始吧，就是说跟我说 next 就好就。
我是主要是分享我自己的经验，所以说
好，
不需要
OK， 好的。那么同学们，那这边的话是我们的Isabella Huang。然后他是在我们的 Miracosta College 的在读的一名学生，然后这边的话就是说，请让他就是说先跟大家来就是分享一下他在学院的这些就是说个人的一些经历以及教学这种感觉。好，请你开始。
So, hi everyone, my name is Isabella. I'm an international student from China. This year, my second year in Miracosta College, and I would like to share my experience with you guys in Chinese.大家好，我是红白，来自浙江宁波，目前就读于米拉科斯塔学院社会学和儿童发展学的副学士学位。我选择这个学校最直观的原因是因为它的2+2转学项目。因为我本人在高中的时候呢，没有太多时间去进行托福刷分，所以选择社区大学会保证我有更多的会保证我可以顺利的从高中过到本科，并且有更多的时间在美国独立生活的环境。社区大学的课程会比综合性大学更加轻松一点，然后我们学校是采用了小班制教育来保证学生与任课教师和同学之间能够建立更加深厚的学术以及情感的联系。这对我当时在面临一个从中文到全英文环境的转换的情况下，其实是很有帮助的。此外，米拉科斯塔学院有对接 UC 和 CSU 的合作项目，这个我们老师到时候应该会有详细讲到。加州大学的洛杉矶分校呢，一直是我梦想中的学校，它在 US News 上排名常年位于世界前20。那以我高中的学业水平来讲，是从高中直接转学到他们大学1年级是十分困难的。而米拉科斯塔学院的地理位置就位于加州，与之是有合作项目。所以选择它不仅减少了我当时初期的资金压力，并且也帮助我在大3的时候更容易转学到美国的更高学府。那我本人现在也是在申请 UC 的几所学校。我现在在学校除了学业以外，担任了国际办公室的学生工作者、学生会议员以及心理健康的同伴工作者。此外，我加入了我们学校的荣誉课程，这个是针对GPA 比较高的学生，然后额外延伸的学习机会。因为我本人非常感兴趣社会实践，那我在疫情发展的前期，通过我们学校的服务学习部门，参加了加州本地的各个社会实践活动。我觉得社会实践不仅帮助你去了解当地的文化，而且它也是一个很好的机会去结识与你可以说是志趣相同的朋友吧，然后以及你会在不同机构工作的同时去体验，可能是探索你未来职业的可能性。最后，我想快速提一下我们学校的 Health Counseling and Education Service， 这2个都是我觉得对我学业有非常大帮助的资源。记得在美国疫情期的时候，我就每天宅在家里，然后就每天自闭，作息混乱。所以我和学校的心理健康部门约了每周1对1的免费咨询服务。 里面的老师有去专门倾听我的烦恼，然后以及去帮我制定一个符合我自身情况更加健康的作息。最后是我本人经常使用的一个 tutoring service。像 STEM major 的同学一般会扎堆去我们学校的 STEM Learning Center 学习，然后完成功课，因为里面有专门的导师会给你提供学业上的指导。那我本人的话，因为我是偏文科嘛，所以说我会经常使用到我们学校的 Writing Center， 然后我会找里面老师去帮我去修改论文，还有讨论新的学习思路。这个的话，我差不多一周会用到1到2次左右这样。因为时间有限，让我在这里对大学的一些生活学上的心得分享就到这里了。如果大家有任何好奇疑问，欢迎留言打在公屏上，或者是发 email 微信给我们。因为我本人现在也在国内嘛，然后没什么时差，所以说我看到微信的话会马上回复的。这是我所有的。
好的，谢谢 Isabella 今天带来的分享。那这边的话，实际上是因为 Mia Scavone， 然后老师呢，就是说因为他网络连接的话，他现在是就是属于断线的状态。然后这边的话，实际上我们这边有一些同学，就是说我们有采到一些收集到同学们的一些问题。那这边的话，就是说看看你方不方便跟我们再分享一下。那这边的话，就是说就只是说从中国学生的角度来说，就是说我们想知道，就是在这个 college 里面，就是国际学生以及中国学生的占比大概是多少？就是说会不会就是说在对于一些中国学生的，就是说比如说就是对于中国学生一些福利上，会不会有时候举办一些 culture fair， 或者是像这样子这种或者是庆祝中国新年这种类似这种活动，就能不能大概给我们讲一下？
就对于比例的问题，我可能没有这么了解，我不能给大家一个很精确的数字。但我觉得，就是如果你去找中国学生的话，应该还是可以说不多不少吧。对我来说，他没有像 UCI 一样扎堆的中国人，然后他是不多不少。你如果说想去跟中国学生去建立联系的话，我觉得也是很方便的。然后你如果是想去跟国外的学生就是聊聊，然后就是有这样的一个语言环境，它肯定是我觉得是很满足情况的。然后我们学校的话是有一个国际学生俱乐部，然后一个中文学生俱乐部，然后包括还有日本还有韩国的一些很多学生俱乐部，是我们会有去一起庆祝新年，然后一些很大的活动都会有在举办。差不多像，因为我现在是在做一个学生国际办公室的学生会者嘛，那我们每个星期一还有星期四的话，会有一个类似于1个小时的因为现在是疫情关系，然后我们会有1个小时的像一个 meeting 一样的，然后就是大家可以随时一起进来，然后我们可以去做游戏然后就是如果说有学业上的问题或者是生活上的问题的话，我们也可以去讨论这样子。
好的，那么就是谢谢今天那个 Isabella 给我们带来的分享。然后呢，这边的话，同学们就是如果说还有问题的话呢，也是可以就是说通过屏幕右下角这个微信的 QR 二维码去添加我们的米娅老师。然后这边的话就是说，他也就是会为各位同学就带来关于Miracosta College 的一些就是说一些介绍admission process， 然后还有这个 brochure。好的，那么今天呢，就是说先谢谢你的分享了，因为时间有限的话呢，就是 Isabella 也没有办法跟我们做更多的分享。好，谢谢你。好，稍微等一下，我们这边有一个问题出来了，就是学校的就业怎么样？
就业的话，我应该可以从2个方面来讲吧，就是我们学校有专门的 career center， 职业中心应该说是里面有专门，然后如果说你想不太确定你自己的职业，然后你可以去跟他们里面的老师去聊，然后他可能是会给你提供各种各样的资源，然后哪种更加适合你这样子。然后如果你已经有确定的职业并且想留在美国的话，他们就是我想应该是每一个学期会有一个类似于是 career fair， 类似于一种跟本地的一些我们有合作的公司然后一些反正是一些大型的公司、小型的公司，他们会有一个合作，然后他们对就是有企业会来学校招聘，对的。因为我自己还没有去参加过，所以我不能说的很专业嘛。到时候我可以把你的问题反映给我们老师，然后 对他们，然后就是会有人来招聘，然后就很多学生会来参加这样子。
好的，
而且你可以，
对，好的，那那的话，今天就是说先谢谢你，然后之后的话，我们可能会开始下一个学校的介绍了，好吗？谢谢。好的，那么谢谢 Isabella 给我们带来的分享。那么接下来呢，就是说，接下来我们会介绍下一所学校，是来自 Tacoma 社区大学的 James 老师。
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is James Newman. I'm the Executive Director of International Programs for Tacoma Community College. And as you can see from the map here, we are located in Washington State. And this is right south of Vancouver, Canada. So not Washington, D.C., but Washington State, where Starbucks, Boeing, Amazon, Expedia, Microsoft are all headquartered. So we are located in Tacoma, Washington, which is about 30 to 45 minutes south of Seattle. I'm sure everybody's very familiar with Seattle. Tacoma is actually where Xi Jinping visited several years ago. He came to Lincoln High School. So I'm sure that made the news in China. So hopefully folks are a little bit more familiar with Tacoma than they used to be. As far as our campus, we have about 4,000 full-time students, 200 international students, which represent about 30 different countries around the world. Next slide, please. So at Tacoma Community College, we do not require English proficiency. You do not need a TOEFL or an IELTS score. You can come at any level of English and then place into one of our EAP, or pretty much the same thing as ESL, English for Academic Purposes. This is designed to get your English up to college-ready skills so that you can then perform into college-level classes. If you do have a TOEFL or an IELTS, we would still take that. So a TOEFL of 65 or an IELTS of 6.0, and you'd be able to skip all of the English classes and go directly into college-level English. Next slide. So a lot of people have heard of the 2+2 model. That's really the best way to kind of think of a community college. So 2 years at a community college and then 2 years at a university. So for China, you could come to a community college after you finish your first grade of high school, or Gaoyi. After that, you can come if you're 16, and then you would do 2 years at a community college, earn your associate degree, and then transfer to university and start in your third year of university studies there. Next slide, please. So what we have put together for our international students is what we call guaranteed transfer partners. So we have about 20 or so different universities that we have partnerships with that have guaranteed to take you once you have finished your studies at TCC. So as an example, the way that this would work is you would come to Tacoma Community College, earn your associate degree in 2 years, and then you could transfer to the University of Washington in Tacoma, University of Oregon, any of the schools that you see here, Arizona State, for example. Now, you're not limited to these schools, but these are schools that we have already put together contractual agreements with. We have had students go into other universities that are not on here, but we just couldn't guarantee that. Next slide, please. So this is a good example of students who have transferred to very well-known schools that are not our guaranteed transfer schools. So we've had students that get into Yale, UCLA, UBC, and then Embry-Riddle. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, one of the advantages of community college is that you do not have to finish high school. You could come early and then get a head start on your college degree. So you could start at 16, you can come at 17, or you can wait until you finish high school as well and come at 18. You can come anytime after that. We do have students from mainland China who are well outside of the high school range. So I think one of the advantages of the United States education system is that it's very flexible. We do have students that are even in their 30s and 40s that started at a community college. Next slide, please. So just to kind of give you an idea, we have about 60 different majors. Business and accounting is probably the most popular for international students. So the way that this would look like is you would do your high school, come to a community college, you would major in business if that's something you were interested in. This gives you some of the sample classes you would take, micro and macroeconomics, all the accounting, global business. You'd finish that, earn your associates, and then you could transfer to one of our partners. For example, University of Washington in Tacoma, Washington State. And then right here within the state, we have some exceptional employers that do hire. Amazon, Expedia, Deloitte, the Port of Tacoma, which is just a few minutes away from our campus. Next slide, please. So if you're an engineering student, it would kind of work the same way. High school, come to community college. Engineering is a 5-year degree in the United States. So you would do 3 years of schooling at a community college, earn your associate degree. Then you could transfer to Gonzaga, University of Cincinnati as an example. These are our transfer partners, and then employment opportunities with Microsoft and Boeing. Next slide, please. And you're starting to get the idea. So healthcare is another popular major that we have. So you can do the same thing with healthcare. We have one of the best nursing programs in the state. And then our transfer partners for healthcare, biology would be University of Iowa, Eastern Washington, Central. And then there's a lot of employment opportunities with any major hospital in the area. Next slide, please. Music. We just recently added an associate's degree in music a couple of years ago. So you could come in a performance type of setting and major in jazz or any of the stringed instruments, and then transfer to the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. And then there are local employment opportunities in the area. Next slide, please. So why should you start at TCC? Next slide. So we are on the quarter system in the United States. You've probably heard of either a quarter or a semester. Quarters are 4 times a year. So we have fall, winter, spring, and summer. Right now we are getting ready for winter, which starts January 4th. Each quarter is 3 months. And the tuition payments are smaller. And there's also 1 annual vacation quarter. Next slide, please. So the admissions process at Tacoma Community College is quite easy. It's an online application. There's only 3 things that we need, which is your transcript, a photocopy of your passport, and a bank statement. Application fee is $50, which right now we are waiving for this event. So if anybody were interested in applying, it would be free to apply. And then we would process your I-20 within 2 business days. Next slide, please. And I will say, because of COVID right now, the college is operating in remote mode, which means the majority of classes are online. Just to give you an idea of the cost, that's a huge example or a huge advantage of a community college. So you can see our tuition is under $10,000 a year. And of course, if you compare that to major universities, it's going to be quite a bit more. So this can really help your parents, save quite a bit of money in your first 2 years at a community college, and those credits will transfer to university. Next slide, please. And this gives you the breakdown of the costs. So total costs, which include housing, food, books, medical insurance, is under $20,000 a year. And then for a quarter, it's a little over $6,000. Next slide, please. So at the college, we do not have dorms. We do not have campus housing. We do what is called homestay. And so we manage the homestay program ourselves. We do not outsource this to a third-party company. Full homestay is $675 a month, and that includes 3 meals. Or if it's no meals, then it's $525 a month. That fee is paid directly to the host. We do not get in the middle of that money. We don't make anything from it. It's just a service that we provide to our students. And next slide, please. Our homestay families are within 30 minutes from campus. It's a great way to improve your English and get a great understanding of American culture. We do have fantastic support services, so there's free tutoring, free counseling. Right now, everything is on Zoom, including the tutoring and the counseling. Very small class sizes, about 23 students and one teacher, which if you started a university, a large university, your classes will be in the hundreds very easily. Next slide, please. We do have very, very high acceptance rates when you consider our guaranteed transfer partnerships, particularly with University of Washington, Tacoma, and everything within the state and down in Oregon. And we do also have a strong acceptance rate to universities outside of our partner system. So UW Seattle and into the UC system as well. Next slide, please. So the nice thing about Tacoma is you are on the West Coast. You are very close to Canada. It's just right up the road, about 3 hours away from Canada. You're close to San Francisco, San Diego. There's a lot of things that you can do within the area. Next slide, please. And this is our contact information. You have our QR code for our Chinese website. And then we also have an e-brochure that you can contact us. You're welcome to contact my assistant director on her WeChat there. You see there, Katie Van Wyck. And you also have her contact and email. So I am happy to answer any questions or talk a little bit more about how the school is operating during this global pandemic.
Right. Thank you very much for the sharing and the presentation here. So from our users, so basically from like people online at the moment, we got like some pre-cached questions from our interest form. So the very first question here is how do students get a job during the time as a student? I mean, they can either do a part-time or like full-time or internships.
Sure. So in terms of employment, students who come to the United States to study, they're on an F1 visa, which is not a work visa. It is a student visa. So therefore, employment off campus is prohibited unless you do OPT. The type of jobs that are permitted would be on campus. And so the on-campus positions would be, for example, working in the tutoring center, working as a SI, which is a student instructor, working in the bookstore. There are a few on-campus opportunities. The most popular one is probably working in the tutoring center. Now with OPT, one of the advantages of community college is you do get an extra OPT, which means you would finish your associate degree. You can work for a year before transferring. That work allows you to work anywhere in the country off campus. And then you earn your bachelor's degree and you can do another OPT. So I hope that helps.
Yep, that really helps. Okay, so we got like two more incoming questions. The very first one is from Xiaowan, and she said like, is college currently offering class online or like?
Yes, because of the global pandemic, I would say 90 to 95% of our courses and programs are all available online. We only have a few courses that are offered on campus at the time. So we do have students that are in China or other parts of the world that have not been to campus yet because we have been remote since March 14th. So that means most of spring quarter, summer quarter, fall right now, and winter starting in January is going to be mostly online.
All right. Next questions. Can Student Affairs Center help to improve the students' own resume?
It wouldn't be the Student Affairs Center. We have a writing and tutoring center, and they would be the ones to help students with that. We do have those services. Absolutely.
Right. So is there any like any form of like career coachings? Like how about the alumni? If you like, once they graduate from or like they transfer to the other college, will that like having much more like, will they still got in connection with Tacoma College?
Absolutely. We do have a career center on campus that works with students. Typically, the writing and tutoring center would be the ones that would start off helping with a student's resume. Once they start looking for work and trying to polish up their interviewing skills, that would be the career center.
Right, totally get it. So I think that'll be all sharing for the night, because like due to the time consuming, and
Sure.
So thank you, and thank you for your presentation tonight, and
My pleasure.
Yep, I hope you stay safe, and stay safe, all right, and hope you.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
好的，那么谢谢 James 给我们带来的分享。那么今天的下一所学校呢，就是下一所学校呢，实际上是纽约州宾汉顿大学。那这边的话呢，因为是老师的这个网络的连接原因呢，实际上老师今天就是很可惜没有办法就是来到我们今天的直播分享会，然后跟大家介绍这所大学。所以今天这边的话就是说，今天我们3所学校的全部分享呢就到此结束了。因为时间的原因呢，我们没有办法有充足的时间和每一位老师来深度沟通，也欢迎同学们来下载我们老师的 PowerPoint， 添加老师的这个联系方式。这边是我们这个宾汉顿大学的这个 Carrie 老师的一个联系方式。如果大家就是说有听说过宾汉顿纽约州宾汉顿大学呢，或者就是说对宾汉顿大学就是说有相关的一些兴趣的话，也方便大家就是给我们的 Carrie 老师发一封邮件。那么添加我们老师的这个联系方式来进行更一步的咨询。最后呢，非常感谢大家今晚的到来。希望同学们也可以继续关注我们未来的云展活动。大家晚安。